Hello and welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. It is our Thursday show, which means it's the last public broadcast of the week. But fear not, for those grad program members out there and those people who may want to be a grad program member, we do have a Friday show, but it's the big boy, big girl show.
Is this Friday the tactical tutor, or is that next Friday?
Next Friday? No, it's next Friday. It's not this Friday.
Okay. Yeah, next Friday. Well, anyway, within the next week and a half, the grad program will be getting their monthly tactical tutor newsletter. So they can look forward to that.
And last month we did this month we did the 14 leadership steps, didn't we? Matter of fact, absolutely we did.
Which I think we should probably
14 leadership traits
in the future turn that into a video series for the grad program.
Well, you know where that's going. That's going in the new book too.
Oh.
We're going to discuss it in detail.
Apparently he's writing a new book.
Yes, he is working on a new book.
How many new books?
Oh, I don't know, 2. Okay, I have 2.
Last time he was working on a new book, he emerged from his dungeon. He's like, "Hey, I got 3 books written." I was like, "Holy crap!"
Okay, I actually have 2 books started right now. But before I can release the next 2 books, we need to move some of the original ones. I don't want the ones that are current to be buried. So, buy the book, hippies.
Well, you know, when we release new books, people find the old books too.
Yeah, I do know that. But this week is the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and this is an excellent opportunity for you and I and your family members and your coworkers and your your friends, if you have any, to do a little bit of a gut check. If you were on the Student of the Gun email list or the broadcast list or the members list, then you got an email from me that I wrote this week, essentially reminding you of the fact that, and I don't care whether you live in Maine or Montana or California or wherever you happen to live, say, I wasn't affected by Katrina at all. Okay, I got that. But wherever you live, there is an opportunity or a chance that you will be involved in some type of a disaster, natural, whatever it's, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, wildfires, earthquakes, you name it. Are you prepared or are you not prepared? That is the answer. Droughts, what have you. So this is a good time, this is a good opportunity this week to take a moment and gut check yourself and say, am I ready? Is my family ready? Or are we just hoping that everything will be okay? Hope and change. Oh, I hope everything will be okay. I hope the government will be there to pick me up. It's not the government's job to pick you up. I think we understand that. And if you're a Student of the Gun listener, I'm sure that you do. Now, if you missed it or you're like, what are you talking about, Paul? Or it went to my spam filter or what have you. Yeah, if you're signed up for the newsletter and you say, I'm not getting it. If you signed up for it and you're not getting it, it's either one of 2 things. Either you used an email address that you never check. I don't know why you would do that, but whatever. Or you're using a Gmail, and Gmail has this super cool ninja filter where it sends stuff to the either, what are the things? There's the main, the social, and the promotions or something like that.
Promotions and updates. You know what you do.
Why don't I just open it right now, and that way I can speak intelligently.
It's social promotion and updates.
Oh, okay. So,
but anyway, so I actually included a graphic in when you guys subscribe to the newsletter. The first email you get, I believe, I included a graphic that shows you what to do if you use Gmail. Yeah.
Chances are, there's primary on my Gmail. It's primary, social, and promotions. So here's the deal.
Oh, you don't have the updates tab?
No, I don't have.
You should probably enable it.
There's a plus. Is that it? Oh, look, updates and forums. So now I can have yet another one.
Yeah.
My point is this, though. Chances are, if you haven't been getting it and you're a Gmail person, Gmail sent it to the promotions one that you probably never look at. We'll look at it and choose it, select it. What do? They choose it, select it, and make it your face. I don't know. What do they do?
What do you mean?
If
you want to put it in the primary?
Yeah.
You take it, you go to your updates, you click on our email, you drag it to your primary, and then you drop it, and then it'll be in your primary box.
Oh, well, okay then.
Because here's the deal, guys. If you want to receive the emails, I want you to be on the list. If you don't want to receive the emails, I don't want you to be on the list. So those of you who have not received or actually opened and clicked on some of the links within the past 3 months, I'm going to remove those email addresses because our list hosts, we can only have so many email addresses in there at one time before we bump up to the next tier and have to pay more money for it. And so if we have inactive users, I'm going to get rid of those users before I move up to a next list. I mean the next tier, if that makes sense to you guys.
Ah, cool. Your Uncle James said his coworker bought a semi-auto pistol and asked him if he had to rack the slide each time he wanted to shoot or if he could just keep pulling the trigger. Yeah.
Did he say yes?
Right. I don't even know. Here's what, because I'm that guy, if someone said, do I need to rack the slide each time or can I just keep pulling the trigger? I would tell them to go ahead and rack the slide each time. Well, when I rack the slide, the thing falls out on the ground. Oh, keep doing that. I told you about that, right? If I talked about that on the radio, about the officer chick that I was attempting to train, but she was way smarter than me. Did I tell that story, Jared? Can I tell that on the air? He's over there like, are you even listening to me, crazy?
Yeah, you asked me a question, but I don't know what you're talking about.
The story about the Navy officer chick whose Beretta was broken because the rounds kept falling on the ground?
I think you've already told that, but we have new listeners, so tell it again.
Okay, so here we are. We're out there on the training range, and this obviously super intelligent Navy officer woman who's a lieutenant commander and much smarter than the civilian contract mercenaries that are trying to teach her how to use the Beretta pistol. She goes up to the line, and we tell them to go ahead and load their pistols. And so she does what we didn't tell her to do. She locks the slide to the rear, puts a magazine in, and releases it. We don't tell them to do that. We tell them to insert a magazine, grab the slide, pull it backwards, and it'll chamber around because that's what it's designed to do. So when we tell them, then she realizes that she did something she wasn't supposed to do. So she grabs the slide and pulls it backwards, and a round falls out onto the ground. So she looks at the gun, she grabs the slide, and pulls it backwards again. And guess what? You're never going to believe what happened. Another round fell out onto the ground. So she looked at it again and pulled the slide back again, and yet I know what happened. And so I stepped in and I said, what are you doing? There's something wrong with this gun, she tells me. Yes. I said, what's wrong with it? She goes, well, the rounds keep falling out. I'm not kidding, folks. And I said, no, there's nothing wrong with the gun. That's what's supposed to happen. And she goes, and she says to me, no, it's not. There's something wrong with this gun. And I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Since I am the assistant team leader here, I'm going to go get another coach, and I'm going to have him watch over your stupid self and make sure you don't shoot anyone else or yourself, and have a nice day. And this is the same lieutenant commander chick. When the school was over, she wrote a critique how Mr. Markle was not very helpful, because apparently I wouldn't give her a new pistol that would stop the rounds from falling out every time she pulled the slide back. Those are your heroes in uniform. Heroes in uniform. Kids, what are you going to do with them? So anyway, so here we are. It is Thursday, and it's time to have some fun. We're going to have a little bit of fun. But before we get into the hilarity of the day, and Jared, make sure that you have the slave state news queued up for this one, because this is a 100% slave state. We want to thank Brownells at brownells.com. They've got lots of goodies on their website. You could order some. You could buy some if you wanted to. If you don't, that's cool too. You can order some Duracoat can technology from Brownells or from Lauer Custom Weaponry or wherever you feel like ordering it from. If you're going to carry a gun, you want to carry a gun? You do. Then why don't you go ahead and get yourself a crossbreed holster. The Super Tuck Deluxe will be the most comfortable in the waistband holster you've ever purchased. How's that sound? Does that sound good?
The Jenner commemorative.
Yeah, that's right, the Super Tuck. You got that slave state? Because if there's, it's not technically a state, but it's a district and it's full of slaves, so I guess it qualifies.
I like to teach you all the rules. I get to see them set in stone. I like it when you chain me to the bed, but then you see it's never.
All right, so this story comes to us from Fox 5 DC, from the District of Columbia. That's right, the Colombian slave state, the Slave District of Columbia. And it says, D.C. police don't track magazine capacity of seized guns. However, that hasn't stopped Chief Lanier from blaming the murder rate, the spike in murder rates in D.C. on what? Wait for it. High-capacity magazines. Now, I really don't think that Chief Lanier would know a high-capacity magazine if it bit her on her fat butt, but I digress. This story is by Emily Miller, who is a fantastic chick up there at Fox 5, and Emily gets it. She really does. She really gets it, and she did a story about this event here, or this, I guess it's a media campaign that the mayor of D.C. and the police chief have kind of cooked up. They're trying to figure out a way to blame, I guess, someone besides their Democrat voter base, because we know the Democrat voter base can't be to blame.
I was planning on using the Emily Miller story on Fox 5, but I can't because it's mono audio. So I pulled up a new one for you guys, and I'm just going to play it from, it's WUSA9.com.
Thankfully, no new murders so far today during this violent summer here in Washington, D.C.
But 98 homicides already puts us up almost 35% from last year and just shy of a chilling 100. Bruce LeShan is live in Congress Heights, where neighbors are bracing for more violence. Bruce, what are they telling you?
They're telling me that they're scared. I'm telling you what, Leslie and Derek, there are memorials like this to murder victims in every single quadrant of the city. But a little context here. We are still down. Despite the bump this year, we are still down significantly from the high of almost 400 murders in 1996 at the height of the crack epidemic.
I'm gonna miss her already. It's okay. She good. After she settled, she'll come see me.
Michelle Johnson is still struggling with the death of her daughter. So sorry.
She good. She is good. She was a beautiful girl. Oh, Lord, she could do everything.
Friends have built a shrine to Tanika Fontenelle, a mother of two, killed 1 week shy of her 32nd birthday.
I live right here. I'll be in the kitchen cooking. She opened that door and said, "Get out that kitchen, what you in there cooking?" I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll bring you some out."
Fontenelle killed her 12-year-old wounded and a 17-year-old the accused killer over an argument between neighbors that no one seems to be able to explain.
It was dumb. It was nothing.
As one family grieves, there is a domestic fight around the block and another person cut.
We got mics in this church. We can use them. We got a voice.
Neighborhood anger is boiling over the spiking murder rate. Residents demanding explanations for why so many families have been torn apart by violence. City leaders are offering stepped-up rewards for information on illegal guns, on shootings, and on murders. But if we could explain what is causing it, maybe we would be better able to stop it.
Maybe everybody need to get in touch with their roots and, and see what it is to be family.
Now, rank and file police officers admit to feeling a little bit helpless. Murder is a very, very difficult crime to prevent. There were actually 7 police officers who just happened to be on that block today where that cutting occurred, and still they were unable to stop it. Live in D.C.'s Congress Heights neighborhood, Bruce LeShan, WUSA 9.
It's a reminder it will take all of us to stem the tide of this violence. Bruce, thank you. Cities across the country have seen...
Ladies and gentlemen, do you feel like you're listening to the voice of insane people? Do you feel like you're listening to the voices of people that have no connection whatsoever with reality? Or maybe you feel like, did I wake up today in some kind of a weird Twilight Zone episode where their neighbors are, did I hear him say, Jared, that community members are demanding answers from the government? Jared's shaking his head over there. He's shaking his sore little bruised head.
Yes, they did say that, and it's ridiculous.
So, community members are demanding answers from the city government as to why it's so bad. Are you high? Are you insane? Have you lost your mind? You damn well know exactly what the cause of the spiked murder rate is. It is the fact that the Democrat voter base in Washington, D.C. has been enabled and coddled and told their entire existence and lives that they are not responsible for their own behavior. No one in America is responsible for their own behavior. It has to be something else. It has to be something insidious. Someone has to be to blame. Not the actual criminals, not the actual shooters, not the actual vermin. Oh, no, they're not to blame. And according to Mayor Muriel Bowser and Chief Kathy Longier, it's high-capacity guns. That's right. According to this story, and I'm going to read from it because apparently Fox DC can't come up with the funds to put their stories in stereo. I don't even understand what that's all about. But here we go. Dateline, Washington, D.C. D.C. is in a murder crisis this year. Mayor Muriel Bowser and Chief Kathy Longier have been saying that high-capacity guns are a major cause. Yes, the tool, the object, is the cause of the murder. But police sources tell me, and this is Emily Miller speaking as me, that they don't track the capacity of seized guns. So they have no reason that this is the cause for a spike in homicides. And we've got a thing from Bowser here. Mayor Bowser. I wonder if she just gives them room to destroy. Guns continue to make their way into the hands of violent criminals. Holy crap. Guns continue to make their way into the hands of violent criminals. So according to Mayor Bowser, the violent criminals are just sitting around, drinking their 40s, smoking their blunts, having a good time. And guns make their way into their hands. So dude's just sitting there, he's having a blunt, drinking a 40, and next thing he knows, there's a high-capacity gun in his hand. Well, how did this get here? This gun made its way into my hand. Well, I guess I will kill someone. Unfortunately, some of those guns have high-capacity magazines that inflict maximum harm. Oh, what did Chief Longier say? This is the genius of Chief Kathy Longier. Multiple of our cases have, this is what she said, it's a quote, multiple of our cases have high-capacity magazines and multiple rounds fired, making the shots more lethal. So, according to firearms expert Chief Kathy Longier, the capacity of the magazine is the determining factor as to whether or not the projectile is more lethal. So apparently, if you can stack more of them up on top of each other, so if you had, let's say, you've got your little compact, your little Kel-Tec Pocket 380, and it only holds 6 rounds, then obviously that's not that lethal. But if you had a Taurus, one of their like P380s or P380s that holds like 13 or 15 rounds, I don't remember which, then those will be way, way more lethal. So Emily says, last week I asked the chief to back up her claim. And in D.C., over 10 rounds, this is Emily speaking, in D.C., over 10 rounds is high capacity, but your department doesn't trace what kind of guns or what kind of magazine size guns have. I'm asking, when you say high capacity, where are you getting that information? And Lanier says, from the guns we've recovered. I'm talking about 100-round drum magazines. That would be high capacity. Really? I want to know how many 100-round drum magazines they're taking off the streets of D.C. And Lanier added, high-capacity magazines are magazines that are designed to enhance the normal capacity of a firearm. Hey, Chief Lanier, here in free America, we call that standard capacity magazines. It's only you slaves that have to have reduced capacity magazines. Aha! But a form that police use to get property in a crime has a section for firearms. It also has the brand name, so this is Glock, and then the type, rifle or handgun. Then there are specifics such as the number of shots in the gun when it was, taken into property. But there's no specific thing detailing the total capacity of the firearm. So you might be asking yourself, how is it that Chief Lanier has got these statistics? Where is she getting these high-capacity magazine statistics? They talked to Sergeant Delroy Burton, a chairman for the D.C. Police Union. He said, information is power, so if I don't have anything to compare it against, I'll have to accept what you tell me. And Burton goes on to say this. He said, I think it's incumbent upon the citizens of the district to put pressure on their elected official and the mayor's office and force them to provide the information, provide a statistical breakdown. But they can't do that because it doesn't exist. And speaking further, Burton says when she, that would be the mayor, I don't know if it's the chief or the mayor or the chief in consort with the mayor, when she eliminated the vice units, what you hear is it created a vacuum, and that void is in enforcement is being filled by criminals who now feel more free to walk around with illegal guns, sell drugs, and gamble in public places. So what we've got is we have the District of Columbia eliminating enforcement action against the Democrat voter base. And so the Democrat voter base goes out and is just killing everyone, killing people wholesale. But it's not the fault. You need to understand this, ladies and gentlemen. It is not the fault of the criminals. Oh, no. We can't hold the actual human beings that are committing the homicides. We can't hold them responsible for their behavior. It must be the access to high-capacity magazines. I guess so. If the thuggery of the District of Columbia was limited to, let's say, knives or double-action revolvers with 6-shot cylinders, then there would be far fewer murders. And now, in that story that we listened to, there was a shooting, and then the next block over, there was a cutting. Do you suppose that a high-capacity magazine was sharpened up to become a cutting instrument? Or do you think maybe it was a knife? Maybe a knife found its way into the hands of a violent criminal. Apparently there's lots of guns out there walking around looking for hands of, imagine like a little transformer, like the gun comes alive and it sprouts legs and it's walking, looking for that. Is your intelligence insulted by this story, or is it just me? I don't know. All right. Folks, question. Do bullies go away because you ignore them? Have you ever seen or encountered a bully in your life? Oh, you have. Okay. Does choosing to ignore the bully make the bully go away? Or does it simply enable or encourage them? Ponder that for a moment. While you ponder that question, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to thank my friends at Velocity Triggers. Because if you've got a black rifle, they've got a trigger for you. They are designed for precision. Check those guys out. Frog Lube at froglube.com, and also available, of course, at Brownells. Century Arms, the makers of the C39 RPK, which I hope to have my hot little mitts on very, very soon. And don't worry, I will let you know the moment that Jared and I take possession of that, and we'll put pictures up and all that good stuff. SWAT Fuel. SWAT Fuel, special weapons and tactics for the body. It works. Take my word for it. I'll take Jared's word for it. If you are excited about SWAT Fuel and you're like, okay, I'm froggy, I'm feeling froggy, when you go to the SWAT Fuel store, make sure that you use the promo code SOTG2015, and you're going to save 10% off your total order. All right, getting back to my question. Why do you bring that up? Why do you bring up the bully thing, Paul? Well, because every once in a while we will get someone, we will encounter a person who is still wrapped up and they're still infected by the reasonableness disease. And they will say to me or to Jared or to us in general that, you know, I support your stance and I support your defense of the Second Amendment and so forth. But, you know, you guys, you're confrontational, and that just doesn't help anything. It doesn't help our cause when you're confrontational. Ladies and gentlemen, we're dealing with a bully nation. We're dealing with bullies in our world. And bullies do not go away because you choose to be nice to them. Bullies do not go away because you choose to ignore them. Bullies only stop when you fight back against them. And that is what I do each and every day here when I'm behind the black carbon steel microphone, is fight back against the bullies. And I'm not worried about offending my enemy. If your greatest fear in life is that your enemy, someone who seeks your destruction, seeks to enslave you, to enslave your family, and your greatest concern is whether or not you're going to hurt that person's feelings, I'm going to say that your priorities are upside down and you might want to re-examine them. Now, on I don't know, remember, it was one of our social media sites. I posted this quote, and I shared it with a bunch of people, and a bunch of people commented on it. But it's, unchecked bad behavior ensures more of the same. Or I suppose you could substitute the word ensures for guaranteed. Unchecked bad behavior. When you have a group or groups of society who behave badly out in front, they're right out in front of your face, behaving badly, behaving in an antisocial manner, whether it's looting, whether it's thievery, whatever it happens to be. And your response to that is to offer them an excuse or to just give them room to destroy. You are guaranteeing that that behavior is going to continue, that you will have more of the same. Do you believe that a antisocial, let's say, thuggish person, if given the opportunity, if allowed to go unchecked, if that behavior goes unchecked, do you believe that they're going to just all of a sudden get a clue and say, oh, you know what, I was wrong yesterday. No one checked me on it, but I've had an epiphany, and I was wrong. I'm going to stop doing that. I was driving in the truck, and I had Zachary next to me, and we were talking, and I cannot even remember. Oh, I know what it was. We're talking about storms. And this is kind of a crazy thing, but here in the United States of America, for decades upon decades, storms are named after women. You know, Camille, Katrina, you know, and you name it. And
coincidence?
No, and well, why aren't they named after women anymore? Well, because feminists complained and that it was wrong and it was sexist and blah 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 blah, and we have to name them after men too. Blah, blah, blah. So what do we have now? Well, first they were doing like 1 year is going to be women's names, and next year is going to be men's names. We had Ivan and Ike and so forth. Well, now we're flip-flopping it storm to storm. So we had tropical storm Danny out there pushing around in the Atlantic, and it doesn't look like Danny's going to be a threat now. So there's a new tropical storm, depression, whatever it is, and they're calling it Erica. So apparently every other storm we're going to change sex. I didn't say gender because gender includes neutral, such as it. Sex, there is no it in sex. It's male or female. Are we down with that?
I was going to say there's yes or no, but okay.
Yeah. You're an idiot. So, and Zach says, well, who cares, Dad? I mean, well, the reason that I said that it mattered, Zach, as I said, because when people come to you and whine and throw fits, and then you change what you've been doing in order to appease them, do they ever say, you know what, I am now appeased, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you alone and I'm not going to demand any more? Or is it the exact opposite? If you change your behavior in order to appease someone, do they appreciate your generosity and stop trying to force you to do things? Or is it the exact opposite? Or do they realize, wow, that worked. I threw a fit. I threw a little hissy fit, and they changed in order to appease me and to shut me up. So the next time I desire something, what I will do is I will throw another fit. If you're not a parent out there, you at very least know about brats and toddlers and small children and their propensity to throw tantrums. Every child at some point in time, once they get to the point where they can move around on two legs and they can talk. You combine those two things and you have this little monster called a toddler. And you have these terrible twos and even worse threes or what have you. Your child, at one point in time, just because this is human nature, they didn't have to be taught it. Your 2-year-old did not have to be taught to throw a tantrum. It's built into them. They're going to do it. Now, the question is not whether or not the 2-year-old will eventually get tired or cranky or hungry or whatever and throw a tantrum. That is not the question. That's going to happen. The question is, how will you, as the adult parent person, how will you respond to that? Will you give in? And the cheap, lazy way to shut the kid up is to give them the cookie, to give them the toy, to acquiesce to their demands, to appease them. And let me ask you, you need to be, if you're not an intellectually honest person, you should go ahead and turn this show off right now, because the whole rest of this show requires intellectual honesty, hardcore gut check. If you appease the toddler throws a fit, you give the toddler the cookie, then he stops. Did you just teach the toddler that he should never throw a fit again to get his way? Or did you just teach the toddler that every time you want something, you should throw a fit, and then you will get what you want? Well, obviously, if you're intellectually honest, you're teaching the child, you are reinforcing what? Bad behavior. We know this. We've seen this. You've seen it. You've been in a mall or a restaurant or some public place. You guys, where some worthless piece of you've been in a sack of skin has know this. We've seen the child that is pitching a fit. I was at the Jared. I was at the Hard Rock pool about 2 weeks ago. When did we stay at the Hard Rock? It's a couple weeks ago, right? And I'm sitting down there and I'm trying to enjoy, a quiet afternoon. And this family is down there, and they have a child who is somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4, maybe 5 years old, maybe pushing 5, let's just say. And the mom or the dad, one of the two parental figures, tells the kids that it's time to get out of the pool. They've been in long enough, and they get out of the pool. The kid starts throwing a fit. And I'm not telling you to go ahead and beat your child in front of me. So calm down, freaks. What they did was they just kind of laughed it off. And you say, well, that's good. Then the kid doesn't. No. They acted like it was no big deal. The kid kept continuing to throw the fit and scream at the top of its lungs in the public place at the pool. So I suppose that this family thought that everyone else at the pool who was there to just sit by the pool and relax and enjoy the afternoon. Apparently, they thought that we would appreciate listening to a 4 or 5-year-old child scream at the top of its lungs for a few minutes. Apparently, they thought that was okay. It was not okay, but that's what we have today. We have appeasers. We have parents, we have humans that just keep giving the kid the cookie, giving the kid the toy, thus ensuring that there will be many, many more future tantrums and that they will only get worse and worse. And you say, all right, Paul, I'm down with you. What does that have to do with D.C.? What does that have to do with the United States of America? Folks, in the United States of America 2015, I'm going to go ahead and offer this. We are living in a spoiled brat nation. Every specialty group, every aggrieved victim group in the United States that throws a tantrum, what is the first thing we do? Oh, we have to appease them. We have a small minority decides that the Confederate flag is offensive and it must be removed from everything. The Dukes of Hazzard car and blah, 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 blah. And instead of being adults, responsible, mature adults, and saying, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to change the history of the country. We're not going to ignore the heritage of the nation because you want to throw a tantrum. No, we don't do that, do we? No. And you're like, oh, Paul, no, listen. Folks, I called it. Jared, are the leftists and the crybabies and the spoiled brats of America, are they satisfied with the Confederate flag?
Nope.
Or are they going after other symbols?
Well, why would you stop at that one?
No, it's not just the Confederate flag. Now it's going to be the entire history of the Civil War, unless it is the politically correct, approved version of the Civil War. Unless it's all about Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation, which came 2 years into the Civil War. Never forget that. It didn't start at the beginning. If Lincoln was so... Jared, riddle me this, Batman. You're a smart kid. You went to school. If Lincoln's main drive and goal was the elimination of slavery in the South, why didn't he do the emancipation? Why didn't he release the Emancipation Proclamation? Why didn't that happen the day after Fort Sumter? Why did he wait 2 years to do it?
Well, he had to figure it out. He had to come up with the idea,
get the ink,
and then he had to get the ink and the quill,
and the paper,
and the paper too,
yeah.
And then
So it took a couple of years.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay. Well, what are we seeing? What's going on in America today? It's not just the flag now. Now it's the statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest, the statue of Jeb Stuart, the statue of Stonewall Jackson. Those all have to come down. We need to remove those. But those were actual Americans. Those were American, war heroes. What you probably don't know because you went to public school is that the vast majority of the officers and generals in the Confederacy were seasoned United States Army veterans who fought in the Mexican War, and so forth. Okay, these were American patriots. They were also Southern patriots, and they're also patriots to the states because back before the Civil War, people actually cared and had loyalty to the state that they resided in.
Is Zach over there playing Call of Duty?
Yes, he is.
Oh, sorry, it distracted me.
Yeah.
In the window.
So, what do you think? How many of you out there have fallen into the reasonable trap? How many of you out there have said, well, I mean, if that group of people is so offended by, if they've chosen to be offended, and you have to choose to be offended. Don't forget that. If they've chosen to be offended by the rebel flag, the Confederate flag, the stars, they're offended by that. We should go ahead and acquiesce. We should go ahead and just, it's time to move on as a nation. It's time to go ahead and censor that. It's time to embrace censorship in America and not allow people to make their own choices. People in America cannot be allowed to make their own choices. You cannot, in the United States, choose to fly a Confederate flag now. Because if you do, some thug is going to come and they're going to commit a theft offense or, maybe even beat you up or break into your home. They're going to do that, and they're going to be made excuses for. And if you defend yourself in your home, then you're a racist. Remember that. So you've decided, you reasonable people out there, all of you, come on, Paul. What? You know what? I don't give a crap about the Confederate flag, really. I mean, don't consider myself a redneck, and I don't consider myself a rebel. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't fly one either. But this whole deal kind of makes me want to, because if you tell me I can, it generally makes me want to do that thing. All of you reasonable people out there who think, well, come on, Paul, it's just time. Remember what I said about 10, 15 minutes ago? If you can't be intellectually honest with yourself, you need to go away. Well, if you're still here, then I'm assuming that you at least are going to try. Do you believe that the spoiled brat in America, that the spoiled brat nation, that if you go ahead and appease them, you give them the cookie of removing every Confederate flag from Amazon.com and eBay and everywhere, we're just going to pretend like it never happened. Do you believe that they're going to be appeased and that they're going to say, oh, well, we got our way, so we're satisfied now? No, they're not, you moron, you childish person, you person with childish naivete. I just saw a story that some stupid Hollywood actress chick is going to the high school that she went to in Virginia was Jeb Stuart High. And she's petitioning to change the name of the high school to Thurgood Marshall High. Why do you suppose that is, folks? Why do you suppose that would be? Because they're satisfied with what you give them? No, they're not. When you give in to the spoiled brat toddler, the spoiled brat toddler is taught to throw more and more tantrums. And what you end up with is a child that no one likes and no one wants to be around, and your life becomes miserable, and you have no one to blame but yourself. The next time you want to be reasonable. The next time you're like, well, what's the big deal? And I've heard you folks out there. I've heard you in the Student of the Gun audience. I've seen your Facebook post. Well, I really think that it's about time that we go ahead because it is a symbol of slavery. Okay, I'll go ahead and throw you that bone. It's not, but I'll throw you that bone. So, does slavery offend you? Absolutely. I am absolutely offended by slavery. All right, well, I am too. So from this point forward, we will no longer discuss or acknowledge slavery in any form or fashion in the United States of America. Because if we do that, it becomes offensive, and there are people who could be offended by the admission or the acknowledgement of slavery. Jared, are you down with that?
Yep.
Dick Brown is down with that. Dick Brown told me yesterday, he sent me a text, he said, Paul, he said, I'm offended by slavery, and because it offends me, I will no longer acknowledge that it ever occurred. I will no longer discuss it. I will no longer admit that it occurred. I will no longer speak of slavery in America because it's offensive. Isn't that where we're at? Oh, no, you can't do that because we use that as a victim crutch. Oh, so we have to keep the victim crutches. We have to keep the victimization crutch. I can look at a calendar. Can you look at a calendar? How long has it been since the end of the Civil War and the abolition of slavery in America? Has it been more than 100 years? Well, yeah, it's been a century. Has it been more than 125 years? Well, yeah, it has. Has it been? We're coming up on, isn't this 150?
Did I talk about the whole Holocaust versus slavery thing?
No, go ahead.
It really annoys me because there are still Jews alive today that have made it through the Holocaust. There's actually one that I know of down here in Biloxi, and we need to get her on the radio to talk.
Okay.
I need to find her card. But if anybody that complains about how they were a slave and any of the black slavery people,
Are there slaves alive today? People that used to be slaves and now they're
no,
not?
their grandparents. I would even go as far as say their great-grandparents.
Unless they had a great-grandparent that was more than 150 years old?
Yeah.
You know.
Which I doubt.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's
so
it.
there's not one person alive today that either was a slave or had a father, mother, or grandparent that was a slave. Okay, so at least 3 generations. America, 3 generations, slavery-free.
And you know what I
4
heard?
4 generations, slave-free. Actually, if you count 20, I'm going to throw it back to you. If you count a generation as 25 years and we're 150, that's 6 generations, slavery-free.
Okay, so anyway, what I heard from the Jew that actually survived the Holocaust, she said that she was in pain for this country. She was scared for this country. She was literally horrified because the path that they went down that put her in this concentration camp, America is going down right now. So she's reliving it, basically. And then you go to the other side where these people are like, oh, slavery this, slavery that. None of them have any idea what it was actually like. But yet they're the victims.
Oh, you can't eliminate the victimization crutch because that's America today. You have to be part of a victim group because that's how you exist. I got an idea.
Well,
all of you out there in the victim group, why don't you try being an American first?
You know what I was told? That we don't... I asked, I said, well, okay, well, where are all the Jews talking about the Holocaust? Why are they not victims, but these Black Lives Matter people, they're all of a sudden slavery victims? And I was told because the Holocaust didn't happen in America.
Oh.
So they're not allowed to be... So it doesn't
count.
They're not allowed to be victims.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it didn't happen in America, so it doesn't count. Yep. Okay, I understand now. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. The spoiled brat nation is made up of a whole crap load of victim groups. And every victim group has its own little spoiled brat, whether it's feminists or whether it's this skin color or this background, what have you. We have a whole bunch of victim groups. And everybody's a victim. And everybody's a spoiled little brat. Everybody's throwing tantrums. You are listening to me right now, and I'm assuming that the vast majority of you listening to this show actually want the United States of America to be whole, to be solvent, to be strong again. Let me tell you what, folks. There is no way that's going to happen until more than 51% of this population reaches down, grabs their cojones, and decides that someone needs to be the adult. Because if you're looking for adult responsibility from the people in Washington, D.C., the people that blame murders on inanimate objects, that blame murders as if there weren't all these, like, aluminum inanimate objects available. Yeah, because okay, that makes sense. Don't look to the state capitals, to the nation's capital. Don't look to them for adult, responsible, mature behavior because they have no vested interest in it. Let's be real here. Let's go ahead. Let's be real. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be real here. The ruling class has absolutely no interest in the citizenry, in the population, being strong and independent and responsible. Their strength, their power comes from keeping people victimized. Because what do they set themselves up as? Oh, I'm the great equalizer. Oh, you're an aggrieved victim? I feel bad for you. You absolutely are an aggrieved victim. Let me take some money from your neighbors and create a program to make you no longer the aggrieved victim. Let me make things right for you. Somebody in the United States of America needs to stand up and be the adult. And until you and I and your neighbors and your family members and your community decide, you know what? We've had enough of the spoiled brat nation. No more. No, you don't get any more cookies. You don't get any more toys. And you're going to get your butt whipped. Somebody in America needs to be the adult. Maybe it is you. Maybe it is me. I don't know. But until we tell the spoiled brats, no more. No, you can't have any more cookies. No, we're not listening to you. No, sorry. I'm gonna throw I don't care. No, you're not getting it. Folks, I hate to oversimplify, but it's really as simple as that. Unchecked bad behavior guarantees more of the same. And until, as a nation, we decide that we're going to be adults, that we're going to be the responsible adults and make the hard choices, the crybabies and the brats and the tantrum throwers of the nation are just going to keep right on doing it. And acquiescing and appeasing them is not going to make it any better. All right, Jared, we're up on 50 minutes right now, and I think that makes it, I think that's a pretty good place to stop. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, too. I got to go teach a class.
You're going to go teach a class? You're going to teach a class on being an adult?
I am going to do that.
All right. Awesome sauce. All right, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, if you are a grad program member, good job on your decision-making process. You make good choices. And we will talk to you tomorrow for the Big Boy, Big Girl Hour. If you're not, that's cool, too. You're an American. And we will be back with you to talk to you next week. All right, kids. Beginner once, student for life.